Welcome, welcome. Come on in, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to some of you. All right. Just want to allow others the opportunity to join us. We're glad to have all of you join us. And we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're dialing in from. My name is Odell Gordon. I am a technical trainer here at Sumo Logic. Just a little bit about my background. I've been in information technology for 30 plus years now. I started out way long time ago in, we didn't call it DevOps at that time. We just call it the operations center, the data center. So I started out in the data center a long time ago. And yeah, exactly, David, a galaxy far away. So I started out way long time ago in data center. Then I moved and graduated up to database design, database development. So my career stems around data, okay? I'm calling in from the Midwest, so I'm a suburb of Chicago, so I'm in Illinois. It's gonna be a nice warm day here. Hopefully you're somewhere comfortable as well. We're glad to have you. We're gonna go ahead and get started, all right? So welcome again to our Sumo Logic's generalist session for our foundation, our fundamental certification. So welcome to our fundamentals course. In this course, our objectives are to give you that 500-foot overview of Sumo Logic. Then I will demonstrate a monitoring and a troubleshooting event. Then you and I will have the opportunity to log into our training environment. I'm going to give you credentials to log into our training environment. And we'll talk more about that coming up. Once you and I get into the training environment, you and I will begin to view all the data that's being collected. We'll search, we'll parse, and we'll analyze the data. That analysis will lead us to identifying trends. It'll also allow us to monitor any critical events. Then you and I will create and modify some dashboards, and we'll create alerts, okay? Then you'll have the opportunity to get certified. We'll give you 60 minutes to take the certification. It's open book, open internet. I'll be here to help you as well, okay? We want you to pass the certification, and you will, okay? All right, so let's get in here. Now I'm gonna save us some, I'm gonna save some bandwidth, turn off my video and let you focus on the lecture and the slides, okay? Now I want you to think of this course as more of, we're going to buy a new car, okay? I want you to get, this class is really about to get you comfortable within the tool, okay? And I'll show you other things as we get in there. All right, so let's go ahead and get in here. Oh, also reminding you, we are happy and glad you joined us. After you take the exam and pass it, we're gonna go ahead and allow you to fill out a form, and we're gonna send you a $15 Uber Eats voucher. Because one, we're glad that you're taking the class. We're happy that you passed the exam, so we want to reward you, okay? So I'll put that link in the chat when we get closer or when we're actually taking the exam, okay? All right, so let's talk about how does Sumo Logic help us, okay? Now, as I mentioned, way long time ago in a galaxy far away, I started out in the data center, okay? What you're seeing on the screen right now is 4 examples of dashboards that can be created in our continuous intelligence platform. You will hear me refer to it as the CIP, okay? So as I mentioned, again, I started out in the operations center, okay, data center. And I would have to go and find the actual machine, the Unix machine I'm looking for, log into it, look for the logs, issue some grep statements to search through those logs. Grep statements allow me to search through those logs. So it was more of a manual process to find issues. Now, you may be doing that now as well. Now, if I had been introduced, well, if it existed, the continuous intelligence platform from Sumo Logic, I could have built a dashboard that allowed me to find out the health of my systems. So for example, we could build a dashboard in the CIP from an operational perspective. And what we mean by that is we can build a dashboard that allows us to find out the health of our systems. We can find out, are all of our systems up and running? We can find out if there's any mean time to identify or resolve. So we can glean all that information from an operational intelligence dashboard. From a security perspective, we could create a dashboard that allows us to find out who's using the root access. Are people logging in from multiple locations simultaneously? So those types of information we can find out and glean from a security perspective, finding out where users are logging in from. Are they logging in from multiple locations simultaneously? Those types of information you can glean from that. And from a business perspective, you and I can build a dashboard that allows us to find out what web pages are our customers frequently visiting. We can find out, what are our customers frequently purchasing? We can find out, if we issued a marketing campaign, how successful was it? So again, we can glean that information from a business intelligence perspective. And then finally, from a global intelligence, you can compare your data, observing your data worldwide, comparing it to other companies as well, from a global perspective, okay? So again, these are 4 types of dashboards that you can create in the continuous intelligence platform. These are examples, okay? Now, that's great, Odell, I love it. But what is the data? What's the data you're going to use to build those dashboards? That's a great question. We're going to use your data, your logs, your traces, your metrics. All of that machine data you're collecting, we're going to use it, whether it's coming from apps or microservices or SaaS services or mobile devices, whatever logs and metrics and traces that you're collecting, we're going to utilize that to allow you to build dashboards. Okay. So what do we offer? We offer analytics. Okay. We're a multi-tenancy environment, which means we have multiple apps in our environment, multiple applications running in our environment. We're scalable. If your company needs to grow or downsize, we're elastic. We can meet it. We can grow with you. We can downsize with you. Okay. You're going to notice that I'm going to demonstrate some examples of machine learning. Our tool is continuously learning as well. You're also going to see some advanced analytics as we go through the tool. Now, some companies like to incorporate Sumo Logic. So they take advantage of application programming interfaces to incorporate Sumo in other environments. And then over to the right here, you see our certifications, okay? We take security very, very highly. It's a priority for us. One of our core values is we're in it with our customers. And we prove that by showing you and giving you all of our attestments. We're up to date. We're SOC 2 certified, FedRAMP certified, HIPAA certified. Again, we keep our certifications up to date. And then finally, your people. And what we mean by your people is, well, you want to be able to achieve continuous collaboration across all lines of your business from one source, from a single, excuse me, pardon me, wow, from a single source. That will be this continuous intelligence platform where your people can achieve and share their findings from our tool across all lines of the business. So key takeaways, ladies and gentlemen, from this screenshot. One, you can build dashboards within the tool. Two, we're going to use your logs, your metrics, all of that machine data you're collecting. That's what we're utilizing. Three, we're going to provide some analytic capabilities for you. And four, you can share your findings within our tool with all of your, across all your lines of business. All right, now what you're seeing here is a high-level depiction of an alert, monitoring and troubleshooting. Okay, that's what we're seeing. Now, the first thing you'll probably do when you're monitoring is you'll probably set up some alerts. You want to be notified when something is going out of whack, okay? So you can see over here to the left, we have the capability of alerting and different types of alerting mechanisms. You're going to see me use Slack, but we have the capability of using webhook, PagerDuty, HipChat. So again, a lot of alerting mechanisms are available in our tool. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do when you're monitoring is you're going to, again, get notified of any critical events. Then you're going to go ahead and get into your metrics to identify, well, what's going on? Okay, and then you want to get into your logs and then identify why it happened. So we get alerted, we identify what's going on by looking at our metrics, and we identify why it happened by you looking at our logs. Okay, so I am going to, again, digress for a moment and demonstrate to you all a monitoring and troubleshooting adventure. Okay, so just bear with me. So as I mentioned, alerting should be first for us. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get into my alerting system. All right, so I'm here. We set up in as our alerting system, we set up Slack. Okay, and in my Slack environment, I have a production environment. Okay, I have two production environments, prod 8 and prod 9. Right now I'm on production 9 in my Slack, my alerting system. And it comes to tell me that, hey, you had a gateway response outlier on production 9, okay? It tells you the time range. And we've also set up dashboards that allow us to get more information. So again, first thing we did was we got alerted. Now I'm gonna click on one of these links in here. I have 2 links in my alerting. I'm going to click on the Go Operational dashboard. Let me log in real quickly. And then I'll go ahead and, again, that one click led to this dashboard. Let me go over it again, just in case you missed it. So again, we have an alerting system. Okay, we're using Slack as our alerting mechanism. I came into Slack and found out that production 9 has an issue. It has a gateway response timeout light. So there's an issue there. I clicked on the Go Operational Overview and it launched me inside of this dashboard. What you're seeing here is a 12 panel dashboard. Each one of these panels has an underlying query, okay? I just clicked on one of the dashboards so you can focus on it. So each one of these dashboard panels has an underlying query, okay? So again, we have an outlier, we have an issue, we were alerted, it brought us to this here overview dashboard, okay? Now, I want to lean on your imagination for a moment. I want you to think of a highway, and on that highway, it has traffic lights. Green is good, yellow is to observe and monitor, 3 is bad, you need to investigate. So if we keep that in our mind, we're looking at a dashboard from an alert. We see our service nodes are up and running, our cache is good, latency is good, payment services are good. Now, let me also give you the background about my alerting mechanism. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, be aware that I'm simulating working for a travel company, okay? The travel company is called Travel Logic. We set up alerts in our Slack. I clicked on it, it brought me here. This is my travel company dashboard, okay? This is the overview. As I mentioned, the database looks good, product services are good as well, okay? We do notice that there's some red. That means that we need to look at, investigate, find out what's going on. We can see that there's some queue issues. There's some elasticity issues. There's also some checkout service issues. Now, again, a little bit background about this travel company. This travel company has a website that allows customers to book their travel, their lodging, their car rental, and of course, their airfare. We just came out of one of the highest travel seasons in at time. We just came out of the pandemic, and the 4th of July was one of the busiest times to travel. We don't want issues where we can't get our customers and keep our customers happy. So again, we need to investigate. So one of the techniques that you can use or utilize in our tool is you have the ability to build a dashboard that leads to another dashboard. So like a drill effect. So what you're about to see right now is I'm about to go from the operational overview dashboard. I want to look at my checkout service. So when I click on this dashboard panel, it drills or it takes me to a more detailed panel. Yes, you can build that feature in the continuous intelligence platform. Now, let me digress for a moment, ladies and gentlemen. I am demonstrating a monitoring and troubleshooting event, okay? Now, let's go back here for a second. If you recall, I brought you in here to Slack. I clicked on this first, go operational overview. It brought me into that 12th panel. I could have came straight here and just clicked on the go to service detail. I could have done this at the very beginning, and it would have brought me to that same dashboard panel that we just saw, okay? The one with the 6 items, okay? I'm just trying to give you multiple ways of doing this, ladies and gentlemen, so hopefully I haven't lost anyone. Again, we're going through a monitoring and troubleshooting event. I'm demonstrating that for you. I've already went into the 12 panel overview dashboard. I saw some red. It allows me to drill on one of my panels, which brought me to my detailed services. Okay, so again, here I can see my bookings. I can see all of a sudden bookings was great, and then all of a sudden there were some peaks. Okay, I can see my errors over the last 7 days, my errors by nodes, my latencies, my averages, and I can see my CPU total memory. Some other features that you can utilize and take advantage of in our tool is our actual legends are interactive. Well, what do you mean, Odell? Well, right now here in bookings, I can see green. If I want to just focus on the actual failures, I can go over to the legend, turn off the successes, and I can see, hey, I just started getting more error messages at a certain time here, at a certain period. But again, be aware that these are interactive, these legends. So this was that service detail. Each one of these dashboard panels has an underlying query. Okay, the reason I keep emphasizing that, ladies and gentlemen, is because once we get into the tool, the first thing we're going to do, or one of the first things we're going to do, is build a query. Then we're going to make that query appear on our dashboard like you're seeing here. Okay, anyhow, so other features, and again, we're investigating. we see that there's tons of spikes and peaks in our CPU and total memory. So we've been alerted. We want to find out what happened. So to find out what happened, we're going to look at our metrics. If you look at my little mouse pointer over here to the right, I'm in the CPU and total memory panel, and I'm going over to the right of it, and I'm clicking on the metrics icon. It's going to show me my metrics. It's going to open up a new tab. Here on my metrics CPU total memory and tab, I see the first thing you see, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I want you to remember this in case it appears on an exam somewhere. The first thing you see is a heat map, okay? This heat map gets darker the more amount of error messages. So as the error messages increase, this color will get darker. This is your heat map, okay? Down below, you see a diagram of your peaks that you saw earlier from the actual item. You're seeing that we're measuring our CPU and our memory. Here's the underlying query that is generating this, okay? So we see that there's some CPU and total memory issues, okay? Now, another feature that you can utilize in our tool is I am going to focus on one of these heat map cells. You can see each one of them has a block, all right? I'm going to focus on one of them by clicking and holding my shift key down. It launches another tab, and now it shows me, again, when I clicked on that, just going back, when I clicked on this cell, this heat map cell, it actually brought up the underlying query into the Query Explorer. That's all. That's all we did. So we did multiple steps there. Now we're looking at the query that's generating the information. The query is looking at our checkout data. Okay, so again, we're a travel company. We're looking at production 9. We're looking at our checkout logs. Okay, we're looking for a keyword in those logs of error and exception. And I'm just going to bump the time up a little bit. We'll talk about all this coming up shortly. Again, I'm just demonstrating. So when I run this here for the last 60 minutes, it's going to give me all of my checkout messages that have either error or exception in them. Okay, right now I see there's over 6,000 results. There's over 255 pages. The field that's being displayed is time and message. Over in the actual results, I see the time and the actual message. You see one of 255. Again, I'm demonstrating, ladies and gentlemen, I'll go over this a little bit more. I'm seeing 25 in detail. Now, again, this is focusing on errors and exceptions, but I want to see all of my messages. So I'm going to get rid of the errors and exceptions keyword, and I'm just going to run my checkout for the last 60 minutes. So that's going to bring back all of my checkout messages, okay? Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to find out why this happened. I know that my CPU and my memory has spiked and peaked. We know what happened. We need to find out why, okay? So we're looking at the logs now. Now, I can see all of my messages here, okay? I see the time and the message. I see I'm looking at one of over 1,000. It has over 27,000 results, okay? I want to take advantage of Sumo Logic's machine learning. And what I'm going to do here is click on the log reduce. This is one of our analytical machine learning features, okay? When I click on the log reduce, it's going to go through all of those records, and it's going to find out and look for patterns that are common. This is a neat feature, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're kind of excited about this feature, and we're going to go more into it. But again, of those records that I initially had, I issued the log reduce on them. So the tool is now going through all of those records, and it's saying, hey, Odell, this particular error message, okay, appears 10,000 times. So of those 27,000 messages, the tool has went through and log reduced and grouped like messages. Now, when you see asterisks in these messages, that means maybe the value is different, but everything else is the same. Okay. So again, my goal here is to find out what happened. I use the log reduce to kind of reduce some of those like messages. I want to find the anomaly here. Okay. Other features that you can use with our tool is you can always change the sort order just by clicking on the column header. So right now, by default, it's in a descending order. I'm going to change that just by clicking the column header. And I'm going to peruse through here and find and see if I see any error message that kind of stand out to help me find out what the problem is. So a lot of these here, I can see, okay, functions and functions. I can see check out. I'll go to the next page, pardon me. And again, I'm trying to find out and locate if there's an issue. By using that log reduce, I'm not looking through all 27,000 individual records. I'm looking at a grouping of those records. So I'll, oh, wait a minute, hold on. I found something, ladies and gentlemen. This message here happened twice. It says info, boot 27, Travel Logic app. It started the cluster. Cool. It started the production die. Right. The service is checkout. Great. That's what we're having problems with. The version is 1.14 dev. Wait a minute. Can anyone identify where the issue is? You can go ahead and put it in chat. Thanks, David. Lauren, you're awesome. Thank you, Lauren. Lauren gets the free breakfast and lunch and dinner at her house. She gets it, absolutely. So here's what's going on. Right here, Lauren said, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things I talked about was that I'm monitoring a production environment. So I see all the way over here that someone promoted the dev 1.1 version in our production environment. Okay, so again, that was the problem. All right. All right, so getting back here, you guys, I thank you for your patience. Getting back to our slides, what I just completed was the ability, demonstrating the ability for you to monitor and troubleshoot. I got alerted through Slack. I clicked on one of my dashboards. I then was able to find out more information about what's going on by looking at my metrics. I found out that my CPU and my memory was an issue. Then we looked at our logs to actually find out why it happened. Somebody promoted the wrong version. Okay, great. Thanks for hanging on with me. Let's continue on. Now, again, I'm going to lean on your imagination. Okay, remember I talked about that highway. All right, remember you put a traffic light on the highway already. For Sumo Logic's data flow, we're going to use that same highway. Okay, on one end of the highway is Sumo Logic's cloud-based environment. On the other end of the highway is your logs, your metrics, and your traces. Somehow we have to get your logs, your metrics, your traces in our Sumo Logic environment. Okay, we have to transport it on this highway, ladies and gentlemen. So what are we going to use to transport our logs, metrics, and our traces on the highway? We're going to use collectors. Collectors are going to get your logs, your metrics, your traces in our Sumo Logic cloud-based environment. Those collectors define your sources. Okay, those collectors encrypt, compress, and send your logs, your metrics, your traces to our environment. If you want to learn more about data collection and collectors, we have an administration course. That course is going to be taught on Thursday. Okay, so if you want to learn more about collectors, we're going to go through that in our administration course. Anyhow, I digressed. We're talking about the data flow. So once you get your data into our environment, that's going to enable you and I to Start searching through that and analyzing through those logs and metrics, and utilizing the operators that Sumo Logic has, so you can display your results in different types of charts. And then finally, you'll set up dashboards where you'll be able to visualize and monitor and alert. So the Sumo data flow is get your data in, search through it to find out any problems, and then share it with dashboards and monitor it and alerts. That's the flow, okay? This slide looks sort of overwhelming and sort of busy. I want you to focus on splitting this slide down the middle. I'm gonna split it straight down the middle. Again, we're talking about that highway. On one end of the highway is Sumo Logic. On the other end of the highway is your logs and your metrics, okay? We have to use a vehicle to get your logs and metrics into the Sumo Logic environment. Remember, the vehicle is called a collector. We provide two types of collectors. There's the install collector and the hosted collector, okay? So on the left half, we look at an install collector. Now, this is a good example if you have on-prem environments. So for the first example here, if you take a look here, we've installed a collector on multiple servers, sort of a distributed installation. Each one of these collectors is going to encrypt, compress, and send your logs and metrics through the firewall up into the Sumo Logic environment. So this is a distributed approach where you're installing a collector on multiple servers. Another approach in an on-prem environment, maybe you want a standalone installation where other servers are feeding their logs and metrics and traces to that standalone server, which is going to encrypt, compress, and send through the firewall up into Sumo Logic. So again, on the left-hand side here, we're giving you examples of an on-prem environment where you're doing a distributed installation or you're doing a standalone installation. On the other hand, the other type of vehicle is a hosted collector. If your logs and your metrics are in the Google Cloud Platform, they're in Azure, or they're in AWS, they're in the cloud already, there's no installation, ladies and gentlemen. There's no installation. We just need to know where your logs and metrics are, your traces are, and we're going to host it. So again, the big takeaway here is there's two vehicles that you're going to use to get your data into our environment. It's either installed collector or hosted collector, depending on where your items are, if they're on-prem or they're hosted in the cloud, okay? Now, once your logs and metrics are into our environment, you need to actually go and grab it, okay? Go and utilize it in our environment. As your logs and metrics are being ingested into our environment, they're getting tagged, metadata tags, and you want to utilize metadata tags to grab it, okay? Here are 5 types of metadata tags that you can utilize. You can use a collector tag. That's going to bring back and define the host name. That's going to bring back that. You can use a source name a metadata tag where you're defining the name and the path of the log file. But you'll notice, ladies and gentlemen, down at the bottom, there's one that's in bold. That's our preferred. That's our recommended. That's the one you'll see us use most often. The underscore source category metadata tag. This one can be freely configured. So we could set underscore source category to Labs Apache Access or AWS Region East Apache Access or Production Apache Access. So again, we can freely configure it. That's the one you're going to see us use most often. That's our recommended one, metadata tag. All right, enough of me. Now you and I are going to have the opportunity to log into Sumo Logic's training environment, okay? Now, a couple things about the training environment. First of all, while I'm speaking, I want you to go ahead and think of a 3-digit number. That number can be from 1 to 999. Again, think of a 3-digit number. Any number you want put that number in the chat for me, please? Thank you, Ian. So everyone put their number in the chat. Now, with our training environment, these credentials that you're going to get and use, they are going to be available for you to log in until the first Monday of the next month. So until the first Monday in August, you have the opportunity to log into our training environment. I thought I saw a 2-digit number. Make sure you have 3-digit number, Alec. It has to be a 3-digit number. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now, I am going to paste the credentials into the chat. I am going to demonstrate to you how to log in. Okay. Again, as I mentioned, you're logging into our training environment. And I'm pasting in the credentials. You can watch me to log in if you would like to make it easy for yourselves. I'm gonna log out of my personal account here. So what you're gonna do, ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna go ahead up and type in a browser service.sumologic.com. Okay. Now, if some of you have the same number, no worries. When we start creating things, you're just going to save it under your initials. So no biggie deal. All right. So once you type that in, you're then going to use the credentials that I pasted in the chat. You're going to type in the email address, which is training, the plus symbol, the word analyst, and your number. Okay. At sumologic.com. That should be on the first line. You're using your own number. Okay. And then on the second line, you're going to go ahead and type in uppercase F, the word fireworks, and an exclamation mark. And I fat figure things, so I often like to turn on the Microsoft, kind of take a peek there and sign in. Now, please let me know that you were able to successfully sign in by raising your hand or just saying I'm in the chat. Let me know. I don't want to leave anyone. Thank you, Florian. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Matthew. Xavier, yep. Let me know if you have any problems logging in, ladies and gentlemen. Please let me know. I don't want to leave anyone. All right, looks like no one has any problems. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I like to do first, before you start clicking around, I like to click the tires, look under the hood, drive the car around the block. Okay, that's what I want us to do first. I want us to kick the tires, look under the hood, drive the car around the block. Robert, we have a class for the SIEM section. Please take a look. I'll show you where you can register for that class and get more information as well. All right. So again, if you've logged in, ladies and gentlemen, again, we're just kicking the tires. All right. If you logged in, ladies and gentlemen, we're just kicking the tires. If you came in and you saw this Sumo Logic and you saw a stack of blueberry pancakes, if you hover over it, if you move your mouse, it's regular buttermilk. But if you hover over, it's blueberry. If you click on that blueberry stack of pancakes, you'll see our navigation panel. Okay. You can hide the navigation panel by clicking on the arrow. Click on the stack of pancakes, shows it. Hide and show the navigation panel. Okay. Odell, mine looks different than yours. I see a bunch of tabs along the top there. What is that? If you see a bunch of tabs along the top, you can go to any one of those tabs and close all the tabs. Use another number via Srinivasta. I hope I didn't mispronounce your name too much. I apologize, but just use another number, another 3-digit number to let me know what happens. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at our navigation panel. We have it expanded. We want to talk about the 4 icons underneath it. Okay, so under Sumo Logic with your navigation panel, you should see 4 icons. The first icon, if you hover over it, all of our icons have a bubble help. It reads recent. That tab, that folder is for you and I to find out or look at anything that we recently opened, recently searched for, what have you, our recent. Okay. The icon to the right of that, of course, is our favorites. When we see something we like and we want to come back to it later, we can favorite it. It will be stored in this folder. To the right of that is your personal folder. Anything that you create in this tool and save it is going to be stored in your personal folder by default. So anything you create and save, you create and save, it's going to store it in that folder, the personal folder. Okay. To the right of that is the library folder. Your administrator or other employees may share something with the entire company. This is where you're going to find it. My administrator said, hey, I need the entire company to look at this dashboard. It's going to be found here in the library. Okay. So again, those are the 4 icons under the Sumo Logic splash sign. Then you'll see an area where you can search. Okay, a little magnifying glass allows you to search. If you go down to the darker shaded area, we refer to this as our main menu. Again, our darkest shade area is referred to as our main menu. And one of the things that I like pointing out in the main menu, because customers often ask, hey, Odell, I want to be able to log out freshly without just closing the tab. Is there a log out way? Yeah. If you click on in the main menu, the user ID that you logged in as, you can sign out right there. Okay. So again, I just wanted to kind of quickly show you that. That's the main menu, the darker shaded area. Okay. Pradeep, if you could use another number, please, or look at your email if it asks you that, but I would just suggest using another number. It should not ask you that. All right, now over to the right, we've looked at the navigation panel. Now let's look at the 3 icons that are at the top. There should be 3 tabs. One looks like a house. That's your house tab. The one to the right of that is your folder tab. That's where, again, you'll find your library. And the one to the right of that is your alerts. You and I are going to spend our time on the house. So make sure everyone's on the house, the home. Now, on the home, there's 3 links. There's the home, the learn, and certification. So make sure you're on the home tab, the home link. Under the home tab, home link, you have different types of search starting points. So if you want to start different types of searches, you can click on one of these icons. Okay. You have a recently opened area. So again, we're on the home tab, home link. Okay. And we're seeing the recently searched dashboards as well as searches. Okay. Under the home tab, let's now click on the learn link. Okay. Now, one of the things that we've done here is we've populated your learn link with 5 videos, 5 quick start videos. So maybe I'm exciting you enough where you want to learn more. So maybe you want to learn about your data in Sumo Logic, or data collection strategies, or built-in metadata, or you want to learn more about the continuous intelligence platform. These quick start videos are here for you. We want to get you excited about learning more. Okay. Also, be aware, out on YouTube, there's a plethora of Sumo Logic videos out on YouTube. So you can find out more information there as well. Okay. So that's at the top of the learn link. We have those quick start videos. Down towards the bottom, you'll see 6 blocks. Okay. And I'm going to go from left to right. If you recall, during our data flow example where you saw those 3 boxes, and the first box was to get your data in, and then the second box was to search and analyze. When you search and analyze, that box that I talked about using operators. So this first box on our home tab learn link, it says cheat sheet. This cheat sheet, when I click on it, it opens and launches a new tab. And what it does is it gives us our operators, the descriptions, and the examples. We utilize this in tomorrow's class, where we go through quite a bit of these operators in our search mastery course. Okay, that's going to be our class tomorrow. But again, you can peruse through here and look at some of the operators that we utilize in building those queries. Okay. I am closing the cheat sheet tab and going back to the CIP. Okay. The next icon to the right of the cheat sheet is the documentation. If you're new to the tool, this is one of the places that I often recommend to customers to start. By clicking on our documentation, a new tab launches, and we give you the ability to where you want to start at. So if you're new, I often recommend to users to start here. When you click on that, we give you a breakdown. If you want to find out more about Sumo Logic, if you want to get started customizing, we even give you quick start labs and tutorials. What does that mean, Odell? Well, if you want to do self-serve, where you want to learn on your own, you can come out here and take fundamentals on your own. You could have done that, but you have me, which is a good idea to have me. You can come back and take the administration on your own, search mastery. If you want to build a SOC dashboard, you can come out and learn how to do that with our monitoring and analysis of cloud security, and you can come out and learn metric mastery. So again, these are all part of the start here. These are the quick step guides to get you through here. There's tons of information here for you. I recommend this is something you explore. Okay. I am closing the tab for my documentation and going back to the CIP. It's a good idea to keep track of what's new. Okay. So you can find out any new features that we have or new things coming down the pipe in the what's new. You may want to issue a support ticket. So you can go ahead and ask support, put a ticket in. Okay. Maybe you enjoyed Odell's training so much that you want to get more training. So you click on the get training. That's going to, of course, open up our actual LMS system. Here you can find upcoming courses. We typically teach our courses twice a day. You are, of course, on the morning session of fundamentals. We also have an evening session. Tomorrow is search mastery, 2 sessions, and then on Thursday we have the administration. Okay, so again, you can come out here and quickly register, no problem. Just click register right there. Bada boom, bada bing. Okay, we'll have July up. We'll have August up pretty soon. So again, you'll be able to see those as well. I am closing the Get Trained tab and going back to the CIP. Lastly, over here to the right, you have the community. This is where other Sumo users share information, find out anything, etc. Okay. All right. So again, we kicked the tires here. We looked around the car. We looked under the hood. We blew the horn, rolled the windows down. So we're just getting comfortable with the environment. Any questions so far? All right. So now let's click on the certification link. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you are in our training environment. One thing that I want to point out at the very beginning, you will not take the certification in our training environment. Why? Because you don't want your certificate to read, congratulations, training analyst number 313. You've successfully passed the fundamentals course. You don't want that. So you're going to log out of our training environment and log into your company's environment. And then you're going to come in here to the home tab, click on, I'll go over this again. You don't have to memorize it down or write it down. You click on the home tab, click on certification, click on get certified, and then you would get certified. But I wanted to point out a few things here for you. There's some very important features for you on the get certified other than getting certified. One of them is the recorded live trainings. All of our courses, we've recorded the session. So if you want to come out here and you want to hear, let's say you wanted to hear the fundamentals again, You could come out here, click on fundamentals. It's a quick registration. What you're going to get is the 2-hour lecture and labs right here. That's a 2-hour lecture lab, the verbal. Then you'll also have the ability to download the slides and the student guide. Odell, how did you get there again? Great question. So again, you're on your home tab, you clicked on certification, you clicked on get certified, it launches a new tab. You have several choices. So if you want to hear or go through it on the self-serve, or if you want to hear the recordings, you can come on, click on recorded live training. All of our courses are here. You can click on any one of these, register, and get the video and the lab guide and the slides. Okay, so I wanted to quickly show you that, demonstrate that to you. Now, I am going to digress quickly for a moment. You just keep on where you are. I want to show you some other features. Okay, I am going to log in as myself. Now, you just stay in as the training guy. Just stay in. I'm going to log in as myself because I want to demonstrate. The training environment doesn't have some of the features, or that user ID doesn't have some of the features that I have. Okay. Let's get started here. Again, I just want to log in and show you a few things that you cannot see right now. That's okay. They probably changed that for me. So let me get over here. Just bear with me. All right, that's awesome. I will be able to get in there and show you that shortly. Just bear with me. Okay, let's try this here again. All right, let's do this real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break, 5-minute break. I want to fix our issues and I'll come right back. I'll set up the timer and I'll see you in 5. All right, getting back to where we were. Hopefully everyone is able to get back in. Hopefully you got an opportunity to breathe, stretch, get away from the actual machine for a moment. And I'm gonna go ahead and, oh yeah, I was doing that. Okay, fireworks. So, I don't know why mine is acting like this today. I'll just use the training one, that's fine. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, that's awesome. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, the password is fireworks. Maybe I did fat finger it. Trying to catch up. come on. It doesn't like my IP address. This is really different here. So let me just stop sharing for a second. Ladies and gentlemen, let me see what's going on. I appreciate your patience. See what's going on here real quickly. One moment, I'll be with you, just squaring away the issues that I have. So just bear with me. I'm still here, ladies and gentlemen. Just bear with me. Just working on a resolution real quick. Yeah, the curse of the live demo. You're right there, Lauren. I done this 9 million times and haven't had this issue before. So just bear with me. I thank you for your patience. All right, I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. I got it back. Thanks for your patience. You guys are awesome. Appreciate it. So again, thank you, John. Sorry. All right, so real quickly, just kind of show you, I wanted to demonstrate to you, once you log into your real world environment and you click on certification and get certified, this is where I left off. You guys are just still watching. We're still kicking the tires. We're going to get in the labs shortly. Just give me a second here. I wanted to demonstrate this to you so you'll be aware. Notice I have much more boxes available when I click on get certified in the live real world environment. We've already looked at the get training. You're going to see later we're going to get certified. But what I wanted to tell you again, when it comes to that password, logging into our training environment, remember that password is going to expire. We're going to change it on the first Monday of the month. So when you log into your company's environment, you can come out to the get certified and click on this, become a Sumo Logic expert. I know you're not seeing it now, but when you log into your company's environment, you click on that, you'll see the password for next month. Okay, so that was the purpose. That was the big to do. I don't think I'm muted. Can everyone hear me? Charlie says I was muted, so okay, good. All right. So again, I digress. I wanted to show you where you could get the new password for next month. When you log into your company's environment, you'll come out to get trained, excuse me, you'll come out to get certified, and then you'll click on become a Sumo Logic expert. And there you'll see our new password. I digress. Let's get back so we can get in the labs. All right, now, let's get to the labs. All right, so let's go back. So everyone, you can make sure everyone's on your home.sumo logic. Let's go ahead and click on the home tab, the learn link. If you're not already there, please, let's go ahead and click on that. And let's click on the documentation. Odell, is that the only way to get there? No, you could have just typed in the phrase help.sumologic.com. Here's a hint, ladies and gentlemen. I would use this help resource, this help.sumologic.com all the time. I don't know everything in the tool. There's a lot of stuff. It's always changing. I have this as my #1 source. Okay, I'm giving you that tip. I'm emphasizing that so you'll have this resource for you when it comes to taking the exam as well. Anyhow, so once you type in, you click on that, you're going to go ahead and click on in the start here. And you're going to see your quick start labs and tutorials. Okay, remember I brought you out here before. Okay, we're doing the fundamentals, so you click on the fundamentals. I'm going to paste it in the chat so everyone will have it in case there's any issues. Again, everyone should be utilizing this document so we can go through the labs. Okay, if you're in a Google Chrome environment, you can take advantage of pinning your tabs. So I'm going to right click on one of my tabs and pin it. What's the advantage of that, Odell? Well, I can toggle between the CIP and my lab guide. CIP and the lab guide. All right, let's go ahead and get in here, get started. So in the lab guide, the first is viewing data. We click on lab 1. We've already signed in. Good job, congratulations. You kicked the tires, you looked under the hood, you know how to move around, okay? What you and I are gonna do is we wanna find out the data that's available. So again, leaning on your imagination, imagine in your real world environment, your Sumo Logic administrator created all of your sources, or he or she says they have. They've created all of your sources, all of your collectors they've created. They've gone on vacation. You and I need to go and find out if those sources have been created. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go find out if the data is in Sumo Logic that we need to use. Okay, so if you want to scroll down here, I'm at the see what data is available. Okay, I'm going to toggle back to the CIP. My navigation panel is visible. I'm going to go down to the manage data link in your main menu, that darker shaded area down in the bottom. Click on the manage data link. Underneath the manage data link are sub links. We're going to go ahead and click on the collections link. Odell, what are we doing? We're going to find out this collector page that just opened up. We're going to find out if our sources are there. Now, let me kind of explain it here, just kind of let you know what's going on. So you have a new tab. It has 4 tabs underneath it. We're on the collections tab, okay? You can search for your collectors. Right now, it's showing all collectors. There's a drop-down arrow to the right. You can filter to the particular types of collectors you want. Right now, you're seeing 10 collectors at a time. You can change that to filter to see more if you wanted to, okay? Right now, when we come into the collectors, all of our collectors are expanded so we can see the sources underneath them. What I typically do, ladies and gentlemen, is I typically click on none. It makes it easier to sort of absorb, okay? Yeah, you might not have some of these links that I have, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm logged in as an administrator. You're logged in as a training analyst. So don't worry about it, Justin and Craig. You guys are going to just seeing things. Matter of fact, let me just log out so I can get where you guys are. Remember, I had logged in as myself, but I'm going to log back in as a training analyst so you won't get too confused. Just logging back in as a training analyst so my screen will appear like yours. All right, so back in here. All right, and again, we were on our we were on our managed data and collection. And just like you all, Craig and Justin, I don't see that as well. Again, you're an administrator, so you're an analyst, so you won't see that. When you guys come back and take the administration course, not only will you be able to see the things that you weren't able to see, but you'll also be able to add a collector. You'll notice that those icons are grayed out because you don't have those permissions. Anyhow, I was digressing. Let's go ahead and search for, let's type in the word OCTA. It's case insensitive. So let's search for our OCTA collectors. Okay. All right. So you can see I have two collectors. Green is good. Think about that traffic light that we talked about. Green is good. Red would be we need to investigate. Yellow is a warning. Okay. We can see it's hosted. Do you guys remember the other type of collector that there is? There's two types. Does anybody remember the other type? Excellent. Brittany, Bruce, you guys are all correct. Installed, you guys are looking at the answer. No, I mean, yeah, that's correct. You guys are right. So hosted here is this one, okay? We can see it has one source underneath it. We can see in the last hour, it has had activity. We can see that over the last hour, it has ingested over 18,000 messages. Okay, if I expand the lab's OCTA, I can see, oh, it's bringing back my OCTA logs from my lab environment. Okay, I'm collapsing that one. I'm leaving the next one collapse as well, and I'm looking at it. It reads lab sec demo. It's healthy as well. It's hosted. Now, you can make a conclusion that hosted means that it's in the cloud. Okay, it's hosted. It has 5 sources defined underneath it. In the last hour, it has had activity. In the last hour, it has ingested over 26,000 messages. If I expand the lab sec demo, I can see, oh, I'm bringing back my lab CloudTrail logs, my guard data log, my S3 buckets, my VPC flow. So these are the sources that are defined under this collector. Okay. Again, you won't have the credentials or the rights to create these because we're logged in as analysts. Toggling back to my lab guide. So we went through all of that. You should now be, I am going to guide you through these. So hopefully you're following along with me. We now are going to go ahead and do a log search. What I'd like for you to do is under number 4, if you could copy that query under number 4, copy that to memory. And let's go back to the CIP. Okay. We're going to see all the available categories, and we're going to count all of the messages by the source category. So with that query copied, let's go back to the CIP. Right now, you might still have the collection tab open. You don't need it, ladies and gentlemen. You can always go back and get it open. So let's close the collections tab. It's not mandatory. It's one of the practices that I use so I can have a clean environment, okay? All right, let's go ahead and click on the new button. Odell, could I just go click on the log search under the home? You could do that as well. You're gonna get in the habit of clicking on the new and going to log search. If you see any informational messages, you can just close them out or skip them. By default, ladies and gentlemen, by default, ladies and gentlemen, when you create a new log search, it's going to, by default, give you the last 15 minutes. We'll talk about this shortly. I'm just letting you know. Let's go ahead and click in the area where you're going to paste your query. So go ahead and paste that query in that area, and let's read the expression so we can understand what it's doing. Some of you may be familiar with SQL. Some of you may be familiar with SQL, okay? If you're familiar with SQL, you might notice that there's an asterisk here. Just like similarly, like in SQL, the asterisk means a wildcard. So if we read this from the right to the left, it says, I want all of my source categories, and I want to count them. Odell, why is there a pipe? That pipe is just a continuation of the code. So when we run this, it's going to go back for the last 15 minutes and bring back the count of all of our source categories. So let's go ahead and run that. So we just ran a log search, okay? By default, the log search is going to give us a histogram, okay? By default. You can always hide that histogram by clicking on hide if you wanted to and show it, all right? So that's a minute by minute breakdown, okay? Underneath the histogram, you'll see the status. It's done. Sometimes it might be still running. It might say collecting results. You'll see elapsed time, and you'll see the results. Your result numbers may not be exactly like mine. That's not important, okay? And then you'll see your session ID if you ever need it, okay? You'll see two tabs. You'll see the original messages tab, which means all of the messages. So I have over 998,000 messages, okay? You'll see also there's an aggregates tab. Now, how did that get generated? Anytime you create a query and you use an aggregate, such as min, max, average, count, sum, those are all aggregates. When you use that in your expression, it's going to generate an aggregates tab, okay? So when I click on my aggregates tab, I can see I'm looking at page 1 of 11, and I can see each source category and the total amount of messages ingested. So I can see there's over 44,000 messages ingested over the last 15 minutes. Okay. All right, going back to my lab guide. We did all of that. All right. Now, suppose that you and I are interested in log messages for Apache. Okay. Maybe someone in the company saved searches and dashboards that are related to Apache. Maybe someone saved it already. They did this, and we want to go out and look at it. That's one approach. Or maybe we want to utilize Sumo Logic's app catalog where it has tons of apps. And we're going to do that in these examples. Okay. So again, right now you should be on define and display shared dashboards. What we're going to do here is we're going to go and look at our library and type in the word Apache Access. Okay, so let's go back to our CIP. Make sure your navigation panel is visible. Make sure you're on your library folder tab. So right here in the navigation panel, you're on that. Okay. In the search area, let's go ahead and type in case insensitive Apache Access. Case insensitive, ladies and gentlemen. In case that ever appears on an exam, case insensitive. All right, now, you should see an Apache folder there. If you expand that Apache folder, you should see several folders, but then you should also see something purple there. That's your dashboard that someone shared with us. Okay? When we click on that dashboard, if you see any informational messages, you can go ahead and close them. Well, looks like John changed his. Let's go to another one. Hopefully there's another. All right, if you see a bunch of items, let's just go to the Apache overview. That's the one I want. In case you don't see one, I think John changed his. He shared it with us and he changed it. But again, if he did that, and this is not pristine, so I can see some information. I click back on John's, ladies and gentlemen, in case you're still there. So here I see the Apache access. Good question. David asked, is there a difference between these folders? And David, that's a great question. Thank you for bringing that up. If you hover over these folders, you'll see one was brought to us and shared with us by John, and one was brought and shared with us by another person. So if you hover over the folder, you'll see information about who shared it. Okay, so that might be what you're looking for. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, so John shared this one, or whoever you're looking at, they shared this one. Okay, this is great, but we don't know if John has added any filters to his queries. We don't know if he's changed anything. He absorbed this from Sumo Logic's apps, but he could have changed it. So again, we're just demonstrating how you would be able to see what others shared with the entire company by going to the library and searching for it. Okay. Now, here's John's. He may or may not have changed it, but we want a pristine version. Okay. So let's go back to our let's go back to our app catalog. And let me talk about this for a second. I want to give you some more information here. If a dashboard doesn't exist, or if the information you're looking for, you can't find it, or if your library search didn't find anything useful, here's what I want you to be aware of, ladies and gentlemen. It's a good idea to install the Apache Access app. Wait a minute, what are you talking about, Apache Access app, Odell? Sumo Logic apps. So we have apps. We deliver out of the box dashboards, save searches, and field extraction rules for popular sources. So what does that mean, Odell? So we're giving you the best way to start exploring a new data source on your own is to use the app for that data source. I don't know what you mean. I'm still unclear, Odell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, together, let's go back to the CIP. Let's go down to our main menu. Let's click on the app catalog. Okay, now notice you have different categories of items. Okay, we have over 200 apps here for you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now you and I are going to go ahead and search case insensitive. We're going to search for Apache. Notice I put an uppercase E. It still brought back the same thing. Okay, you're looking for the app called Apache. It has a feather on it. All right, let me see. I'm sorry, there's a few questions. So I'm guessing the long-term organizations of these folders is going to be critical for larger environments. Yeah, so you're correct, David. Management of the folders in the library are going to be important, but your personal folder, your favorites, and those don't have to have any type of that's left up to the individual user. Okay. Other questions here, and you can also install those apps more than once, correct? If it's also installed, right? So if you install it, you're gonna have to give it a new name because it's gonna give you an error if it's already existing. So yes, you can reinstall it, but if it already exists, it has to give you a new name. Okay, you got to give it a new name. It has to be unique. Anyhow, great questions, ladies and gentlemen. Keep them coming. I'll try to get back to them as quickly as I can. All right, now you all should have a search for Apache. You should see the one with the feather. Go ahead and click on that. Now, here's the cool thing about these apps. One of the things it does, it gives you a description. It says, hey, Odell. Yours might never read a hey, Odell, but it says, hey, Odell. Apache app is a unified logs and metrics app that helps you monitor the availability, the performance, the health, and the source utilization of your Apache web farms. That's perfect. That's what we need. They've already created for you. Well, what does it include? It comes with dashboards. You can scroll through some of the previews of the dashboards. It comes with this automatically. Okay, so you and I are going to go ahead and click on the add to aggregation. All right. Now, we're in an actual wizard, okay? We want to create an actual filter to limit the data that's being seen by this Apache, okay? So we're gonna click where it reads Apache log source. There's a drop-down arrow there. Let's change it to enter custom data filter, okay? Now, let's go ahead and grab, if you haven't already grabbed, we're going to go ahead and put in a custom filter here. We're going to call it web server, underscore system equals Apache. So what we're doing here, if you're copying like I'm doing, make sure you don't copy the period that's at the end of the sentence. Okay, we don't need the period. What we're doing here is we're giving it a custom filter, meaning bring back our Apache from our web server system. Okay, so going back to the CIP, you've already set it to enter custom data filter. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this. Now, here, one of you guys asked this question here. You can add the Apache access, yes, but it was created by someone different. Another approach is to just put your initials. So again, I can go add my initials, and now that's going to be a unique item over there. Okay. So far, ladies and gentlemen, all you've done is you've changed the Apache log source to a custom filter. You've added the phrase web server underscore system equals Apache. Odell, could I have typed that? Absolutely, you could have. And then you can leave your folder name as it is, no big deal. Okay. And then in the top right corner, you'll click next. It's going to go ahead and create that new object, and you'll get a new pop-up menu saying that it was successfully completed. Now, where should I look for this, ladies and gentlemen? Where should I look for this newly created object? Personal folder, that's correct. So when you go to your personal folder, you should see your new Apache folder with your initials. If you didn't use initials, no big deal. Then you should be able to open that folder and click on Apache Overview. Now, this one looks different than what we saw before, okay? This is pristine, which means nobody's changed it, or again, it came from our app catalog, okay? And eventually you'll see it's going to give us some uptime, some requests per seconds, some bytes per seconds, etc. You're going to see all of that information fill out, hopefully, eventually. Other things that you can do, once you add an app or an object, you can always share it, ladies and gentlemen. So if I click on the 3 dots next to my folder name, I can go ahead and click share. Okay, it's going to take me through this menu here where it says, hey, Odell, you want to share this Apache underscore OG folder. You can share it with specific users and roles. When I click, there's a line under users and roles. When I click there, it gives me predefined groups and roles. It also gives me usernames. So I could select someone from this list, but you and I are going to share it with the entire organization. Again, under the share with specific users and roles, you're choosing your entire organization. Now, let me digress for a moment in case this appears on the exam. When you share, you have the ability to set the access to view, edit, or manage. There's no delete and there's no read. Again, when you share, you have the access capabilities to set it to view, edit, and manage, in case you ever see that on the exam. Anyhow, you could also notify the users. I'm not going to do that. I'll turn that off. So all we've done is shared this folder with the entire organization, and we'll click share. Okay. And then they, of course, would come in the library and search the library for the object that you shared with them. Okay, I'm gonna put a wildcard up here. Okay, and eventually I would see mine here as well. All right, so there's mine. Okay. All right, going back to the actual lab guide. All right, we did all of that. We shared it. Awesome. All right, and we know it's in our personal file folder. So congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. You were successfully able to sign into Sumo Logic. You search for categories to see what data was available. You search for and view dashboards that were shared with someone in your organization. You installed an app and shared it with others, and you open the dashboard included in the app. All right, let's pick up the pace a little bit because I got us behind a bit. Let's go ahead and click on Lab 2, search for log data. Again, Lab 2, search for log data. Ladies and gentlemen, you can click on the link in the bottom right corner of the lab that you're on to go to the next lab. Okay. All right, now Lab 2 is where we are together, hopefully. All right. We're going to create a query. All right. We're going to search within our message, our log messages within the source category, but we're going to include keywords, get. All right. So under number 2, ladies and gentlemen, highlight what's under number 2 and copy that. Highlight and copy what's under number 2. And let's go back to our CIP. You can close any tabs you have over. You can close all those tabs. You can just click on one tab, the 3 dots in one tab, and close all tabs. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we can always go back to these things. We can always go back to them. Okay. Again, I like keeping a fresh desktop. It's not mandatory that you have to have a fresh desktop. Okay. Let's go ahead and create a new log search. Let's paste in our query. Let's talk about the query. Okay. So remember that metadata tag that I told you about, the one that we use most often, I frequently use, our best practice? There it is. So we're equating our underscore source category equal to our labs, our Apache, our access logs. So we want our access logs from our lab environment. Okay. We're using an operator called and in this instance here is optional. It's implied, which means we don't have to put the and. If it was an or, we'd have to put an or. But ands are implied. In case this appears on an exam somewhere, ands are implied. Okay. And then we have a keyword. This keyword says, hey, from my access log messages, look for the ones that have the keyword get. Okay. Now, if you click the time over to the right, ladies and gentlemen, okay, it allows you to get relative time, predefined relative times. There's a recent time, maybe nothing in there for you. And then there's a custom time. Maybe you want to do by year or specific dates. Okay. So again, on the relative time, you and I are going to go ahead and click on 60 minutes. All right. So we want to run this query for the last 60 minutes. And let's go ahead and click on run. All right, Lauren, so here's my messages. I got 1,205. I'm just gonna, I think Lauren was wondering about that and. I'm just gonna get rid of the and so you guys can see that it still works the same. The and is really for readability so people can understand, but it's implied. So you see, I'll run it again. And again, I'll get my results, okay? I'm putting the and back so mine will look like yours. I hope that helped. Yep, no worries. All right, so that was one question. Yep, all right. Charlie says, what does CIP stand for? Does anyone know what CIP stands for? Anybody in here know what CIP stands for? Anybody at all? Thank you, Ursula. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, John. Yeah, I had said that earlier on. Maybe some of you guys missed that. I said I'm going to refer to the CIP, the Continuous Intelligence Platform, as CIP. Okay, no worries. You guys are all good. Appreciate it. All right. So let's talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. We ran our query. We see over to the left, there's the time and messages. Those are the actual, and let me talk about this as well. This is the area over here, ladies and gentlemen, where it says messages. This is referred to as our display field. So if you ever see that on the exam, this is our display field, okay? These are the fields that are going to be displayed. And these are the actual time and messages. Excuse me, this is referred to as our field browser. Our field browser. This is our field browser. Sorry. Anyhow, over to the right, I see the time and the message. I notice that I'm seeing 25 messages per page. I'm seeing page 1 of 1,000 and plus pages. If I wanted to see more than 25 per page, I would go over to the gear symbol and go to my display message preferences and change the number of viewed items. Again, you're only going to see 125 by default per page. Okay. All right, now let's go ahead and we did that 25. All right, so next in our lab here, we changed it 60 minutes, did all of that. All right, we see our results. All of our messages have gets. All right, now I want to also parse out. Robert, this might be what you want to do. I want to also parse the message, okay? Now, let me digress for a moment, ladies and gentlemen. If you recall, one of the sources that I told you about, that I said I don't know everything, I use help.sumologic.com. I'm digressing. You don't have to do any of this. I want you to see some things here, okay? I want to show you the different types of parse operators in case this appears on an exam. So all I did was go out to my help.sumo.com. I searched for parse operators. It gave me a whole laundry list of things. I click on the first link and I can see there is an anchor parse, there's a regex parse, there's a JSON, there's a key value, CSV, and so forth. So there's different types of parsing available. Okay, now let's go back. I digressed. I wanted to quickly show you that. Parsing makes search results what? Much easier to scan and interpret. What we're going to do is we're going to parse for our URL, our status code, our size, and the referring IP address. Why are we doing this? So it makes it easier for us to scan and interpret. Okay. All right. So going back to the CIP, I want you to watch me first, ladies and gentlemen. Watch me first. So they want us to find the get message, okay? And then highlight. So what we're going to use, this double quote to the left of get is never going to change. So we're using that as an anchor. Watch me first. I'm holding my mouse down from the quote and dragging all the way to the referring website quote. Okay, now yours may not appear exactly like mine, but I want you all to go to your first message, look for the get. To the left of the get, you should see a double quote. Highlight that double quote. You should then see a URL. You should see the actual status code. You should see the actual size. Then you're going to see a referring URL and then an end double quote. That's what I want you all to highlight. Now, we are using a parse anchor. A parse anchor is position-based, which means it's utilizing all those positions. So if you do something wrong with your copy or your pasting or your selecting, you got to do it again, because parse anchors are position-based. Okay, let's continue on. with what you have highlighted, go ahead and right click on it. You should see a set of choices. We're going to choose the phrase parse selected text. Odell, what are we doing? We see over, ladies and gentlemen, we see over 29,000 messages. We want to parse out some of those values so we don't have to search through those 27,000 messages or so, okay? All right, now, again, I want you to watch me first, then do, okay? So after the get, I'm just gonna highlight that entire URL. I'm just gonna highlight it all. Whoops, make sure I get it all. So I wanna go from there right up to there. So I'm highlighting that entire URL. I don't have any quotes. I don't have the word get in focus. I just have, after the get, that URL in focus. Now, when it's in focus, you'll see there's a phrase, a yellow phrase that pops up that says, that reads, click to extract this value. When we click on that yellow phrase, notice what happens. The value that we had in focus is no longer there. It's been replaced with an asterisk, okay? What you and I need to do is go down to the fields area and what we want to call it. So I'm just going to call it URL and add a comma. So that asterisk is being represented by the field name URL. And I added a comma because we're going to do this 3 more times. Now let's highlight the value to the right of that asterisk. It should read, click to extract this text. It should take that away and replace it with an asterisk. And we're going to call this, this is going to be our code. Our, what is it? I called it. Status code. Sorry, I got a brain fart. We're going to call it status code. So let's status underscore. Now we don't use spaces. We use underscore. Status underscore code and add a comma. So far we replaced that first URL. We replaced the number after it. Now we're going to highlight the number after that. Okay. Now again, your numbers may not be like mine. That's not important. It says click to extract this value. We click to extract that value. We're going to call this size and add a comma. All right. And then finally, we're going to highlight that last URL. All of that, mine is rather long, but I'm not getting the double quotes. I'm just getting between the double quotes. So I'm highlighting all of that. Yours might not be as long as mine, no worries. Just go ahead and click to extract. It replaces it, and we're going to recall that refer. Odell, do I have to use the words URL, status code, size, and refer? Is it mandatory? No, those are logical names. You can call them A, B, C, D, and E. But again, logically, you wouldn't know what they were. So again, we gave them logical names, okay? All right, let's go ahead and click submit. You will notice up in your query, it's changed. It still reads source category lab, Apache access, and the get, but you have a pipe symbol to continue the expression. You're using the parse. You see the get and you see the asterisks and the new fields that are being created. Let's go ahead and run that. I'll put it in the chat in case some of you didn't get it right. But again, it's position based. If you didn't get it right, it's probably because you clicked on something or you removed something. You would probably have to do it over to get it correct, to be honest, okay? All right, now notice here, after we ran this query, we see in our field browser, the display fields not only have time and message, but now I see something called referrer, size, status code, and URL. Those are fields that are going to be displayed. When I go over to my results, I see one of over 1,000 pages, and I see I have the time, but now I have new columns. I have my referring, my size, my status code, and my URL. Okay. All right. Let's continue on here. You guys are doing awesome. We did all of that. We extracted everything. All right, now let's save our search, and we're going to call our search Apache status codes with our name. Okay. So over here where your search is in the top right, you'll see an icon that allows you to save as, or you can click on the three dots, which is our more, and you can choose save as. Odell, what are we doing? We're saving the actual query that we just altered. So we click save as. We're going to call it Apache access and put it, Apache status codes, and we'll put our initials. Okay. You can optionally add a description. You see the actual query there. You see the time frame that you ran it last. You see that it's going to place it in your personal folder. So let's go ahead and save it. All right, so a few questions here. Additionally, how does this work when the log search, like Windows events, have multiple structures? So David, what you would use instead of using a parse anchor, use a parse regex. That's why I brought that parse up for you, so you can see the different types of parsing. Parse regex is not position based. It's saying, hey, I'm going to look for a pattern, and when I find that pattern, I'll bring it back. Okay. All right, now, all right, so you guys all save that. You should see that now over in your personal folder. Okay. Notice the icons now, the coloring. Remember when we created that dashboard? Again, that was purple. We'll see orange. So you'll start to be able to distinguish between the different types of objects that are being created. All right, so summary, you pat yourself on the back, you've created a search, you parse your messages, and you saved your searches. All right, let's go ahead and chart our data. Let's click on the link for lab number 3 in the bottom right corner. Lab number 3 in the bottom right corner. All right, now we want to build some aggregation statements to count our results and visualize the data being created. Now, here's a very key point I want you all to be aware of, okay? Only search results that have been aggregated using a group or an aggregate operator can be charted. Odell, I don't understand. What does that mean? If you want to chart your results, you got to have an aggregation. If you don't add an aggregation to your query, you won't be able to chart. Bottom line, okay? All right, let's go ahead together, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and copy what's under number 1, the 3 items. Copy all 3 items under number 1. Okay, where it says source, parse, count. Those 3 lines of code is what I want you to copy. Okay. Now let's go back to the CIP. You can close any tab that you have, or you can just add a new tab, no big deal. Let's add a new log search. I am about to demonstrate some features I want you to be aware of. Okay. I don't think I got the whole thing there. Let me make sure. 3 lines. 3 lines. Yep. All right. So I want you to be aware of what I'm about to do, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I want to run this query line by line to help you understand how it works. Okay. So what I'm about to introduce you to is the ability to comment out your rows of code. How do you do that? You use 2 slashes. Okay. 2 slashes will comment out your line of code. All right. I'm just going to change this to 60 minutes to give me some more time. Again, just click on that, change it to 60 minutes. So if we look at this, the first row, which is the only thing that's going to be run in this query, it says, hey, Odell, I'm using the favorite category, source category, favorite metadata tag, source category. I'm equating that to Labs Apache Access, and I want to bring back all of my GET messages over the last 60 minutes. So when we run that, it does it. Awesome. All right. Notice all of my GET messages are highlighted. Okay, I'm seeing 1 of 25. I have 1 of 201, over 1,000 pages. Okay, the next line of code says continue on with that, Odell, with the parse, with the pipe. And it says use the parse anchor, okay? It's looking for get, so it looks for get. It says the next field after get, we're gonna call that URL. The next field after that, we're gonna call that size, a status code, and next field after that, status code, and so forth. So this is the same thing that we just did. I'm demonstrating how they built that, okay? So when I run this over the last 60 minutes, it of course is going to give me new column headers. I see referrer, size, status code, and URL. Hey, Odell, I notice in your query, you created aliases, URL, status code, size, and referrer, but they don't appear like that in your column headers. Why is that, Odell? The tool refers back to alphabetic. So time and message are always going to be there. Any other fields, they're going to be alphabetically sorted. So referrer, size, status code, and URL. Good question. Glad you asked it. Good idea. Okay. All right. So we got that. Now this last line here, ladies and gentlemen, if I wanted to share or if I wanted a chart, I need to have an aggregate. So this last line says continue on using the pipe, continue this line of code. It says count by status code. Now, you're going to learn a little bit about this in our administration course, but I'm just going to tease you a little bit. You might be wondering, about all these other fields down here. These were actually parsed out during ingestion time. Okay. So again, run this query. Notice what it's going to do for me, ladies and gentlemen. So if you notice, I not only have a messages tab where all my messages are, but now I have an aggregates tab. This last line of code says count by my status codes. So it's giving me a count by the status codes. Now, if I didn't have this aggregate, I would not be able to display my results in different types of charts. So we can put it in a pie chart, an area chart, and so forth and so on. Again, the key thing there is make sure I have an aggregate in my query. Now, if I do have a chart and I say, I'd like to go back to the actual default, the actual values, this very first icon, ladies and gentlemen, right here, this very first icon, will toggle you back to the results. Now, let's continue on. Did all of that. That's awesome. Next, I'm down here. We now want to see our actual results over time. So we're going to create buckets by using the time slice operator. So ladies and gentlemen, if you could, go ahead and copy the 2 lines of code under number 2. Copy the 2 lines of code under number 2. Okay. And let's go ahead and go back to our CIP. We're going to replace the last line. So highlight that last line of code, that count by, just highlight that and paste. I am going to comment out the last line of code just so you can see what's going on. So again, we're bringing back all of our access messages that have the keyword get. We're parsing the get to parse out these fields. We want our results to be rendered in buckets. So we're using the time slice operator and we're using 1-minute buckets. You can change that number to anything you want as far as increments. Okay, running the time slice now doesn't do anything for us. It's not going to give us what we want when we run the actual tool. Okay, this last line in effect kind of utilizes that time slice and brings everything together. Let's read the last line to kind of understand it. Again, here's that aggregate. It says count by. Notice it says underscore time slice. That's different than the operator time slice. This feature here, this underscore feature, is what we use as a placeholder. So basically it's saying count up everything that's in the operator time slice. So we're using that mechanism as a placeholder. So when we run this, we now get an aggregates tab, and we can see that our results are in 1 minute increments. The 1 minute increments are not in order. They're not in any order. So to make this easier to read, we would just click on the column header of time to put it in a sorted order. So I can see from 9:57, I head over and so forth, okay? We also have, ladies and gentlemen, we don't learn it in this class, but we have an order by and a sort by operator that you can put in your code, but you can also do it manually, okay? All right, so that should take us down to there. We did the aggregates, yep, awesome, okay? Now, you and I want to be able to read our report, but we want to be able to see it in an Excel-like feature where we can see columns and rows, where you and I can analyze, identify trends. Those are the types of things we want to do, but it's difficult to do in a list, in a table format. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and copy what's under number 1. Just under number 1, let's copy that. Let's go back to our CIP. Now, let me teach you how to do this. We want to add a blank line under the count by. So place your cursor at the end of the count by. Use the Shift Return on your Macs or the Alt Enter on anything else. Shift Return on your Mac will add a new line, or Alt Enter, okay? And go ahead and paste in that item. So just reading and trying to get you to understand, we did the count by, we count by our time slice and our status code. That was the last line of code. We use the transpose operator. We want our time slice on the row, and we want our status code on the column. Let's run that over the last 60 minutes. And voila, we see our time slice on the actual rows, and we see our status codes on the columns, and we can do our analysis, okay? All right, let's go back to our CIP. Let's go ahead and create a chart. We want to visualize our data to make it by making a chart, okay? So right where we are, ladies and gentlemen, again, be aware you couldn't create a chart without a count by, without that aggregate. All right, so let's choose any chart you want. I'm gonna go ahead and choose a column chart. If you take a look at any of these bars, you can see that maybe our 200s are dominating this chart. As I mentioned early on, our legends are interactive. So over to the right, I can click on 200. That hides all of the 200s. But now our charts are being dominated by my 304s. So I can turn off my 304s, and now I can get down to the bare facts. That's one way of doing it, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe an easier way, or maybe another approach. I won't say easier. Another approach is to hard code it. Now, you know, if you hard code it, you got to update it and change it. But anyhow, another way of doing this is hard coding it. So going back to the CIP, I am just going to grab this where clause. Now, this where clause actually needs to be added in a specific location, okay? So I'm going back to the CIP. I'm placing my cursor at the end of the parse anchor statement, because this where needs to be after the parsing. So I place my cursor at the end of the parse statement, and I use the Shift Return on my Mac, or the Alt Enter or Shift Enter, whatever you got, just get a new line and paste it. Now let's read what this says. It says where, and that exclamation mark means not. So where status code is not 200, or where status code is not 304s. So instead of tinkering around with these items, we can go ahead and just hard code it. And let's run this query over the last 60 minutes. And now if you look at our legend, those values are no longer there. We don't have to toggle them off. Okay, awesome. So you aggregated your search results, you used the transpose operator to make it easier to read, you created a chart of the results and adjusted the chart legend. Okay. All right, and just since I didn't do that, you can adjust the chart legend by going to this gear symbol. And maybe I want to change the properties, and maybe I want it to be red. I mean, you could do something like that. So again, that gear symbol is the way you would change those. All right, now let me remind you of something in case it appears on the exam. In case it appears on the exam, in your messages tab, ladies and gentlemen, in your messages tab, if you want to export out your results, you click on the gear symbol and export out. Again, on your messages tab, if you want to export out your results, you go to the gear symbol, export out. On the aggregates tab, if you want to export out, okay, you click on the, well, did they put in the gear symbol here? No, all right. All right, you used to be able to, well, this is a chart. If I go back to the results, I'm slipping. Again, on the aggregates tab, if you want to export out the numbers, make sure you're on the actual table. And then that very first icon there, ladies and gentlemen, will allow you to export out on the aggregates tab. I'm emphasizing this in case it appears on an exam. All right, anyhow, let's go back. All right, we're almost done. Let's go to create and share a dashboard. Okay. We want to use the most powerful forensic tool available, a visualization. Okay, we're going to create a dashboard. All right, we're going to call our dashboard Apache status code. We're going to create a new dashboard name, and we're going to turn off the create dashboard and new UR. These are the 3 steps we're going to do. Okay, so let's go back to the CIP. You should all be right here. If you have yours in a chart, no big deal. You can keep it in a chart. I don't care what you do. Let's go over to the right and click on the phrase add to dashboard. Let's click on that phrase. All right, let's give it a name. We'll call it Apache status codes. Odell, what are we doing? We're about to create a dashboard, ladies and gentlemen. But we're starting out with a query, which is going to turn into a panel, which is going to be added to the dashboard. You'll see shortly. Okay, I'm just going to throw my initials on here real quickly and date. All right. So again, this is the name of my panel. This panel represents that underlying query. Okay. Now, when you and I together click in the where it reads dashboard, it's reading. Right now, the tool is going and reading and finding all the dashboards that exist. This is the method of you adding an existing, adding your query panel to an existing dashboard. So if I want to add this panel to an existing dashboard, this is how I would do it. But we don't want to do that. Let's go ahead and create a new dashboard. Let's start typing. And I think we want to call this Apache status codes. It doesn't matter what code, what case you use, ladies and gentlemen. And let's put our initials. Okay. Now you'll notice when you put your initials, you start seeing a unique phrase. It says create new dashboard. That's what you and I should see. That's what you and I want to do. That's what you and I want to click on. Let's go ahead and click on the phrase create new dashboard. Let's turn off the create new dashboard and new UI. Let's turn that off and let's click add. What you should now see on your screen is a new dashboard tab. It has the panel that you just created, and you have other capabilities. Right now, you're in the edit mode. How do you know that, Odell? Because it says done editing. You're in the edit mode. I know it's counterintuitive, but again, you're in the edit mode. If you click on the 3 dots, you have other features. You can add a panel. So if I click on add panel, it has 2 radio buttons. I can add the title and the actual text. So I'm just going to type in status codes And then I'll click on the radio button for text, and I'm going to say, this panel displays all status codes, or status codes. I won't say all because we filtered out. You would, of course, write in what you filtered out as well. But again, I just want to quickly show you this. So again, I type that in. Now I'll click submit. Now I have a new dashboard panel. I can use my left mouse to drag and reorder these. I can use my mouse and go to the corner marks and resize them as well. Again, just showing you how you can build your dashboards. I also can go back to those three dots, the more action, and change the theme. So maybe I want a darker theme. I can toggle back to that lighter theme. All these features are only done when you're in the edit mode. Once you're done editing, you click on the word, the phrase, done editing. Now you're out of edit mode. You don't see those options on the three dots anymore. Odell, I don't see those options. How do I get those options? You click on the pencil. Now you're in the edit mode and you now have that capability, okay? Remember, you have the ability to share your items. So once you create it, of course, you can share it. Click on the three dots and you can choose share, or up in the top menu area, you can click on the share as well, okay? Choose the entire organization and share, okay? All righty, I did all of that. We shared it, we had a text panel. Yep, dashboard, did all of that, awesome. Good job, ladies and gentlemen. You created a panel from your search results and you added it to a new dashboard. You added a text panel, you changed the look and feel of the dashboard, and you shared it with others in your organization, okay? All right, modifying dashboards. In this example, what we want to do is we want to open up the dashboard the dashboard app that we downloaded for ourselves. We're going to open that up and we're going to change one of the panels, but we're not going to open up a log search. So this feature is to demonstrate how you can change your dashboard panels without opening up a log search. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go back to the CIP. Make sure you're on your personal folder. Look for your Apache with your initials. Click on the Apache overview dashboard. So go ahead and bring up the Apache overview dashboard that you brought in earlier. Bring that up. I want you to look for the panel that has the visitor's location. Look for the panel that has the visitor's location. Should be that one. Now, what we want to do is, right now, this visitor's location, even though it's taking a while to bring up, it's looking at the entire world. We want to focus on the United States. So we're going to add a filter and we're going to change it, okay? So when we click on the three dots here, you should see the phrase edit. So again, you're going to the visitor's location, you're clicking on the three dots, you're choosing edit. What that should do is it opens up the query and shows you the diagram right there on the screen. Notice it didn't launch a new log search, okay? Now, what you and I are gonna do is we're gonna add a where clause. So again, you are going to copy what's under number 3, put it in the chat for you. You're gonna copy that where clause. Now, again, it's important that we put the where clause in the correct position. So place your cursor at the end of the lookup statement. It should be second from the bottom of your query. So place your cursor at the end of the lookup statement, add a new line, a new blank line, and paste. Now, let me explain to you what's going on. When you come back and take other classes, you might see lookups. I want you to understand how to read a lookup. You read a lookup from the right to the left. So you and I provided the source IP. We provided the IP. That IP went and looked up in a table that is populated by our relationship with Newstar. Newstar populates this table with public IP addresses. We are searching and we found the IP address. We looked it up in this table. That table is going to bring back the latitude, the longitude, the code, the name, the region, the city, and the postal code, all just by providing the IP address for this lookup table, okay? Now let's go ahead and run it with the blue magnifying glass. Notice your actual diagram changes. You're no longer seeing items all over the world, you just see the United States. You can drill in by using your mouse, drag, scroll bars. You can get down to the almost the street level, okay? All right, now, the last thing we need to do here is in the top right corner. We ran the query, it changed, but we also need to update the dashboard. So let's click on the phrase in the top right corner, update dashboard. So now our dashboard has now been updated. It's only showing us where users are logging in from the US. All right, very good. Did all of that. You guys are awesome. All right. And then the last thing we're going to do is create an alert. In order to create an alert, ladies and gentlemen, you need to go to your query. So that you should still have your Apache Access Status Code tab. If you don't, go to your personal folder and make sure you have that open. Go over to the 3 dots, the more action, click on that. Click on the phrase edit. Odell, could I have just edited if it was in my personal folder already and just went to edit it from there? Absolutely, that would have worked as well. You could have just clicked on the 3 dots and clicked edit. Okay, that brought you to the same place. Good question. What you and I want to do is set up an alert. So let's click on the phrase schedule this search. Right now, by default, the search is turned off. The alert is turned off. It reads never. When we click the never, it gives us choices. Let's go ahead and set it to 15. So right now, this is going to run every 15 minutes. Over the last 60 minutes, I have different types of alerting mechanism. Remember I talked about this? I can be alerted by email. I can create a webhook to Slack. I can use ServiceNow. There's other types of alerting mechanisms. I'll leave it as email. And I'll just put in Sumo Logic. You don't have to put in anything because you're in our training environment. All right. And lastly, I'll go back to my lab and I'm going to grab under number 6. There's this here 6H. There's a box there that has some items in them. Those are variables. I'm going to copy those variables from number 6H. And then I'll go back to the CIP. And under the email subjects, I'm going to highlight whatever's there, and I'm going to paste. And if you click or hover there, you'll see it as a little flyout window over to the right. It tells you you can provide these variables to provide the trigger time, the number of results, the name of the search, etc. So that's what we did. We added the name, the fire time, and the number of results. The last thing we're going to do here is turn on we want the results as CSV. Okay. So again, we're setting up alert. It's running every 15 minutes for the last 60 minutes. Here's the recipient that's going to be alerted. We also have an email subject and we're giving it a CSV as well. We will go ahead and update that or save it. Now that alert is going to run. Now, let me demonstrate how to turn it off. Odell, how do you turn that alert off? Okay. Again, you go back to the actual query where it is and you edit. You edit the schedule search and you set it to never. When you set it to never, that turns it off. Or of course, you guys all know, ladies and gentlemen, you all know that you can always just, if you don't want it anymore, you just right click on it and delete it. You can always delete it as well, okay? All right. So that should have been on all of that. And then of course you would see what you would get. If you look under number 7, you should get the visitor's location results. You should get again, a distribution, and you should also get that CSV. It tells you how to turn it off, setting it to never. Okay. Lab number 7 is really for your reference. Okay. In order to get help, make sure you check out our release notes. Remember, I told you search our documentation hub. Remember, it's start here. Visit our learn page where if you want to get some more training. Post a question on our Sumo Logic community. Try our Slack channel or contact support. So this lab 7 is going to be for your reference. Okay. Any questions? All right. So if there aren't any questions, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for you and I to get that result. Okay. David says you're getting error non-aggregate queries cannot be created in the auto parse mode for scheduled searches. Redo the search in manual mode. So maybe you turn the mode off. I don't know what you did. Let me get a minute there and I'll take a look at it. All right, so let's get you back to where you should be, ladies and gentlemen. So you say you guys have no questions other than the one that David is. I'm going to answer that. Okay, so we now have the assessment. There's going to be 30 questions. I'll stay here for 60 minutes. You need 75 to pass. It's open resources. So slides, labs, documentation. Don't forget the help resource as well. Now, let me demonstrate how you're going to get to the actual exam. Ladies and gentlemen, you're in our training environment. The first thing you're going to do is log out of our training environment by going to our navigation panel and going to the CIP. Clicking on your actual name and choosing sign out. That's the first thing you're going to do. You got to sign out of our training environment. Frank, yes, you can. Ladies and gentlemen, these exams are free. They're open book. We want you to pass them. They're free. You can take them multiple times. You can take them as many times as you like, okay? All right, so what you're going to do, of course, you're going to log into your company's Sumo Logic environment. Notice when I log in, I'm logged in as Odell Gordon. So I am logged in as myself, okay? So what I would do, of course, let me close out of this stuff here. I want to take the exam. This is the same thing you're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, in your real world environment. You're going to go to certification. You're going to click on get certified. You're then going to click on the get certified again. So over in the right-hand corner, click on get certified. And we have different courses. We have the exams in different languages, okay? We have just completed the fundamentals. So you would click on the fundamentals. You click on register for free. It's really quick, it's just a click, okay? You then click on the start exam. It tells you it's 30 questions, 60 minutes. You need a 75, good luck. Then you click next. And we have a large bank of questions. So some of you may not get the same questions, but you'll click start assessment and your first question might be, or one of your questions might be, which of the following is the best query to search for the keyword 125 across all your productions, your prod app, okay? So again, we go down here and look at our choices, okay? And again, we're searching for something, Apache, and we're looking for a specific item. So we know we have a keyword and we know we need to use our source category. So here we're doing prod Apache, we're using the and operator and we're looking for this code. Now, what's the difference between these two is this is saying search for prod, dev, whatever, it's search for everything. But here I'm searching for prod. So again, I'm gonna click on that one. I'm gonna give you this one. I think I got that one right. Go all the way down. Here's the 30 questions. You need to click on next. Okay, again, if you do have that question that I did make the choice, you would get that one right. You need to submit your results. Notice I didn't pass. You still need to submit your results and then try again, okay? I will put the Uber Eats voucher up for you guys to utilize. And if there aren't any questions, again, good luck. For those of you that are taking the exam right now, I will be here for an hour for you. For those of you that are not taking the exam, I'm going to take it at a later time. Good luck. I hope to see you in upcoming trainings. On behalf of all of us here at Sumo Logic, thank you for joining our training today. Again, we have our administration coming up this week, as well as our search mastery tomorrow. Good luck, and I'm going to unmute myself or mute myself and give you an opportunity to take the exam.